Hey, what's up, y'all? So a lot of people are asking what is the best way to get their car ready to do some rallycross or to go drive in the dirt. And given that we built this Yaris for Batman to kind of start his rally adventure in, I figure the best way to explain that is to go over what we've done to this car, which really is a short list, and it goes along with the philosophy of like keep it simple. So we'll go ahead and talk about everything we've done to this car since we got it and go from there. So the first thing I want to talk about, and to me the most important upgrade that we did on this Yaris to get the most time out of our runs and just to make this thing handle more appropriately on the dirt like a proper rally car, was the installation of an LSD. So for this Yaris, it's a 1.5 5-speed manual, but it had an open diff, and that's really unfortunate for when you're on the dirt, because if you don't have grip, you're only spinning one wheel, the wheel that has the least amount of traction. So in the dirt, that's no good. And sure, you could get away with it and learn how to drive even with an open diff, but if you really want to dive into the fundamentals of driving in the dirt and different techniques, you really would just want to bite the bullet and go ahead with an LSD. It might be outside of the budget of a lot of people's introductory jump into the motorsport, but I totally get it. I just wanted to start this video off with that because to me, that is the thing we did that single-handedly changed the dynamics of the car. So LSD, this one has a Cusco in it, which is a plate LSD, but you could easily get a worm gear style, like a wave track or something similar. But do your own research, find out what you can get for your car. So LSD is my number one topic to go over so far. So let's go into number two. So number two for me is a suspension upgrade. Whether this is just softer, taller stock springs for your car or going with some rally coilovers, it's not really that important. We have rally coilovers because we may or may not one day want to stage this car, so we just said, screw it, we'll just get some rally coilovers and kind of just be done with the suspension for a while. These are Bilsteins from Streetwise. Doug at Streetwise built us the custom set for the Yaris. Obviously, the reason why you want suspension and why it's my number two choice is because it gives you a little bit of ground clearance, and it also sucks up a lot more of those heavy impacts. We did do, I think, 2 or 3 events on the stock suspension, and honestly really didn't have that much of an issue, but we know over time that that stuff just takes a beating and really isn't up to par for driving in the dirt with some of the abuse you get with hitting ruts and hitting rocks and that kind of thing. So plus we wanted the higher ride height, so we went ahead just to pull the trigger on it. So do your research, whether it's rally coilovers, springs, and your stock struts with some inserts. Find out what makes the most sense for you to do your upgrade for your suspension. So number two, suspension. So going over number three, it's going to be wheels and tires. You could argue that this is a little bit more important than the LSD or the suspension, depending on your car, but it's still top 3 for sure. So whether it's gravel tires or snow tires or some really strong 15-inch wheels or whatever clears your brakes, the important thing is to get some solid wheels. You don't want to be cracking wheels, you don't want to be bending wheels. These methods, these are the 501 VT specs, so these are the rally spec wheels from Method, and these are the G10 Federal tires that we run, and these are 185s. They're what we've been running for 3 years now. So whether you get snow tires or gravel tires or OEM 15s, like I said, wheels, definitely important. Tires, important because that's what's making contact with the ground from your car. Again, find out what fits your budget, look at all the options, do your own research, but definitely wheels and tires top 3. And if you want some more info on the Federal G10s or these Method 501 VT specs or 502 VT specs, just hit us up in the comments or send us a message on Instagram, and we'll hook you up. We'll let you know where to get them. So, all right, so the next one is a little bit more abstract, and it's going to be like creature comforts, things that help you focus more on driving your car versus, let's say, you slipping out of the seat, steering wheel being too far away, shift knob not being in the right spot, just whatever it is for you, your feet slipping off the pedals, anything that you feel you're focusing on a little bit more while you're driving, that's kind of taking your attention away from what's going on the road. So for us, it was, we were sliding out of the seat. These stock Yaris seats don't really have a lot of bolstering. They don't really hold you in very well. So when we were driving on the dirt, we were having to brace ourselves while we were driving at the same time. So definitely we noticed that we needed some better bolstered seats. And honestly, we didn't go too crazy. We could have went with some Sparcos or Recaros, but we just went with some Brahms. These are like $300 for a pair. They're not the best seats, they're not the most amazing seats, but they get the job done. These definitely make a big difference when we were driving out last time in Johnson Valley, because we could finally just stop worrying about sliding around in the seat. The next thing for us would be to do like a 4-point or some other kind of harness situation. But even with the seats, now that we have them, it's not as critical. One more thing I would say for us is that the steering wheel is still a little bit far away from you. It's not really in the ideal position. This doesn't have telescoping. It just goes up and down like that, which really doesn't give you much. For us, it's going to be adjusting the steering wheel. So we already have the aftermarket wheel. We're going to see what spacers and what we need to get the steering wheel a little bit more into our hands rather than us reaching. It's just a little unnatural. You want things to be very ergonomic in here. Whatever you feel makes the most sense for your car. Don't go too crazy. This whole list is meant to be something you can tackle for a reasonable amount of money. I think all in, we're in maybe like $4,000 into the car, and that's really not a lot considering what we have already, and this thing's just out of the box ready to go. It's a fun little car. Everyone who drives it has a lot of fun. So definitely drive what you have and just own it. And the most important thing, finish off this whole thing, is seat time. You could have a super fast car and not know how to drive it. You could have the slowest car, which this is only 106 horsepower, that is pretty quick and that puts other cars to shame. Go to your local events, find some private roads, and just get some seat time. Even the sim rig is a good one. We do a lot of the sim rigs. So those are the top things I wanted to talk about what we've done to this Yaris. Might as well give you a rundown of the Yaris, show you that it's still stock for the most part. Engine is just dirty, but this is the stock 1.5, but no bolt-ons, nothing, stock airbox because it keeps the dirt out. We didn't even flash the ECU. We haven't done anything performance-wise. Like I said earlier, trying to keep it simple. Body panels are just the way we got it, nice and scratched and dented. So for the brakes, all we did was just get some economy performance ones. I think they're like Stop Tex or something. Same thing with the pads. We didn't go too crazy. We also did new rubber bushings and the control arms. Just basic maintenance, honestly. We did get these sick Tom's racing wheels, which if you are familiar with Toyotas is actually kind of cool. Looking a little bit more in the interior, no fancy gauges, race computers, none of that. It's literally just a stock Yaris dash. And honestly, one of the things that sucks about the Yaris is, at least the hatchback, is there's no tachometer. And then lastly, for the Yaris is the exhaust. So you might have seen in the Instagram post, I went ahead and swapped the exhaust. That's actually necessary because this stock exhaust is really quiet and you don't know when to shift. So having a louder exhaust definitely helps. But yeah, that's the Yaris. That's the 2009 Yaris two-door hatchback. This is what we've been driving in Rallycross. This is what Batman's gonna learn in. Just wanted to give you an introduction to the car, show you that it's not all super crazy and it's attainable. Cheap car, couple mods, going to the dirt. So do your research, find out what works for your car, and we'll see you in the dirt. Laters.